Welcome to my views on news. Views while unrest is gradually easing in the Amhara region regarding the disbandment of Amhara Special Force. What is happening in the Oromia region? Is Oromia Special Force being restructured or dismantled? Oromia police chief was interviewed by a news outlet a few hours ago, and there he said a few things about the disbandment of Oromia Special Forces. But is this dismantlement happening on the ground or not? Secondly, viewers, Tigray journalists are accusing each other of being unprofessional, of being corrupt. Tigray media house TMH is seeing a storm from within. 2 days ago, some staff members of TMH, some former staff of TMH leveled serious allegations against Alula Solomon, TMH's CEO, and last night stolen a journalist who worked with Tigray media house in the past used very strong language against Alula Solomon. Thirdly, Amhara diaspora is continuing to threaten the Prime Minister, the Ethiopian federal government now when calm is returning to the Amhara region after 6 days of protests. Amhara diaspora is relentless. Now, diaspora is threatening the government with some new measures being planned by diaspora to cripple Ethiopian government. Firstly, viewers, Oromia Special Force is the largest regional special force. Oromia is the largest region as well in terms of population, in terms of area, I think as well. In terms of population, Oromo is the largest. And Oromo is the largest ethnic group in Ethiopia. When people in Amhara oppose the dismantlement of Amhara Special Force in the 6-day-long protests, their main concern was that Oromia Special Forces were not being dismantled. OLA was operating freely, and that OLA and TPLF were threats to Amhara people. So what is happening in Oromia? Is Oromia Special Force being restructured or dismantled? Ararsa Mardasa is Oromia police chief. He was interviewed by a news outlet a few hours ago, and the question was asked about restructuring of special forces, because Ethiopian government's position is that all regional special forces are being restructured. In Somali region, we saw that Mustafa Omar held some meetings, chaired meetings of the cabinet of Somali Leo police, trying to ensure that there is no opposition to dismantlement of special force. In Oromia, we have not seen a single protest against dismantlement of special forces, if it is happening. Ararsa Mardasa said in his talk that Ethiopian National Defense Force has taken over the security of the regional state. ENDF is in charge now, not Oromia Special Force. He acknowledged that some armed groups were operating in the region, but all operations will be monitored, approved by Ethiopian National Defense Force, not Oromia Special Force. He did not share details. Where are Oromia Special Force members? Have they been told to report at camps? Have they been told to hand over weapons, like Amhara Special Force members were told to hand over weapons? I have not seen any confirmation that Oromia Special Force members have been told to report at camps and hand over weapons to their department. But police chief claims that ENDF is in charge. it's difficult to say what is happening in Oromia. We could not confirm any large-scale movement of Oromia Special Force members towards camps for reorganization or for disarmament. I think these Oromia Special Force members will be given ENDF uniforms. They'll become part of ENDF. That is what's going to happen in Oromia, it seems. But in Amhara, what is happening in Amhara is different. Amhara Special Force members were told to hand over weapons, to report at camps. They were told that they must not leave camps. It is not happening in Oromia region, reportedly. And ENDF was already in charge in Oromia, in operations ongoing in Oromia against OLA. It was ENDF, it was in charge, not Oromia Special Force. Secondly, viewers, a scandal, financial scandal, corruption scandal has hit Tigray media house, not very old satellite channel, television channel. It was founded a few years ago by Tigrayan diaspora. Alula Solomon is the CEO of this satellite channel. It is a YouTube channel as well, and it was mainly sponsored by Tigrayan diaspora. And in the 2-year-long war, Tigray TV, DWTV and TMH, all these three news outlets played a key role in propagating Tigray's narrative to the outside world, to national media. Now, some former and current staff members of TMH have leveled some serious allegations against Alula Solomon, the CEO. They say that Alula Solomon is unprofessional. He treats staff members like slaves, salaries unpaid, and Alula is involved in embezzlement of funds. He bought a house worth $700,000 US in the US. TMH is based in the US, in Columbia, US. Alula is there too. Stolen, a journalist who worked for TMH for some time later, he created his own YouTube channel. He called Alula ignorant in his talk yesterday. Stolen is not happy with Alula. Staff members not happy with Alula. And no audit. How much was received by TMH in donations? Was there any audit conducted? Why is that still 2 months' salaries are unpaid? Why is that TMH employees are complaining? Tigrayan diaspora has been generously supporting Tigrayans. Tigrayans in Tigray, and Tigrayan diaspora has been supporting the news outlets who have been working to promote only Tigray's narrative. So I cannot believe that this TMH is short of funds. So where are the funds? Who stole the funds? There must be some independent inquiry into or auditing of the finances of Tigray media house. Tigray journalists are fighting, accusing each other. Why? Because maybe they know that now the war is over. War was a business for some people. People created channels and then they started GoFundMe campaigns. And diaspora generously supported these GoFundMe campaigns. A lot of people contacted me as well. They said, Sajid, why don't you start GoFundMe campaigns? A lot of people want to support you. But I did not think that it was good to receive money for people. The money should go to the poor people of Tigray, poor people of Amhara, far regions. I only have a Patreon account where less than $100 a month are sent by a few people. and I am happy with them. What matters most for me is information. The viewers who share information with me are my assets. Not, and those who send $5 or $10 a month, totaling around less than 100, I'm thankful to them as well. But what matters for me is sharing of information. You people correct me, you people guide me, you people provide me with information. That is how we have been able to cover the conflicts in Ethiopia. Those who have received large sums of money in donations must be held accountable. Tigray diaspora has a right to question them, to hold them accountable, to conduct inquiries into their finances. Thirdly, viewers, Amhara diaspora or the Ethiopian diaspora supporting Amhara issues is threatening the Prime Minister, PM Abiy. We saw a video message from Taman Bijine 2 days ago. Then Neiman Zaleke a day ago said that international campaigns will be launched to block remittances to Ethiopia, to boycott Ethiopia economically. Diaspora, international community should boycott Ethiopian government economically if the government does not change its course. So it's not something new, because we have seen Amhara diaspora convention held in Washington a few days ago where such proposals were discussed. But after these protests in Amhara region and after government's plans to dismantle Amhara Special Force and Fano, diaspora is going to pursue the case of boycott of Ethiopian government, economic boycott and blockage of remittances to Ethiopian government very proactively. That is why we're seeing statements, and Ethiopian government is already in talks with IMF and World Bank, but it could not get final approval for loans, for grants, for rescheduling of debt payment. And some sources say that one of the requirements for these loans and grants from IMF and World Bank is that Tigray's border must be restored to November 2020 position, and Ethiopian government must reconcile with all armed factions. And handing over of Volkayat and Raya to Tigray is part of this financial discussion ongoing between international financial institutions and Ethiopian government, though not clearly. Of course, IMF cannot say that give Volkayat to TPLF, but the US can. And it seems to be the case that US is putting pressure upon Ethiopian government to make some compromises, because Ethiopian government is not in a position to resist US pressure because of dire economic conditions. That is why we're seeing peace deals signed in Gambela, in BG, in Tigray, in Amhara. Talks started between Agos and Amhara government. In Oromia, talks between OLA and government could start. So all this is part of the demands made by the US for approval of loans and grants to Ethiopian government reportedly. But diaspora, Ethiopian diaspora who supports Amhara region is going to intensify its campaign to block remittances and loans to Ethiopia. Thank you for watching.